and we welcome you into the spotlight. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Drew Brent, and if you're in the market to buy or sell your home, give us a call today. It's 479-968-5668, or you can cruise on over to RussellvilleLiving.com. Always a lot happening in the city of Russellville, and here to talk about that, Miss Christie Graham. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
The Executive Director of Tourism for the city of Russellville. You've always got some great info. You've always got some goodies that I see that you have with us today.
Yes.
2022 is here. Just tell me, what do we got going on?
Wow, well, 2021 was a fabulous year for us.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up 12.4% above our largest year, which is a huge increase. That was in 2018. And we ended the year 12.5% above our largest year, and a bigger increase from just 2020. So we had a really good year. Lots of people in town for numerous reasons, not just one or not just two. And yes, we had 2 outages at the plant, but we had a whole lot of cool things in. We had lots of softball tournaments in. We had lots of fishing tournaments in. I mean, we had lots of things happening last year. The new trails on Nebo brought a lot of people in. Danielle downtown brought lots of things in, and just lots of partnerships, and it just really equaled a really good year for Russellville.
You said it was a 12.4% increase over the biggest year.
Our largest year in the
largest
history of the A&P.
Okay. So with that in mind, 2021 was still a pandemic year.
Yes.
What do we attribute that to?
I've thought lots about that question. I contribute it to people were tired of being indoor. And thank goodness that Russellville, most of the things we have here to do, the attractions for Russellville, have always been in the outdoors. We're known for our trails. We're known for our tournaments, fishing, being on the lake, being outside, canoeing, kayaking, paddleboarding, things like that. And it really paid off for us because that's where people felt safe at. And that's the things they wanted to do. And so we have that, and it paid off for us.
When we talk about people who come into Russellville from outside, it seems to me that there's a bit of a disconnect between the people who come into Russellville, who live other places, and the people who actually live in Russellville. The reason I say that is because I hear this a lot from people who live in Russellville. And you know the sentence I'm about to say. Oh, there's nothing to do here. You just proved that that's not true.
That's not true. And I've tried to, I guess the word is debunk that. Is that the term?
That would be the correct term.
Yeah,
yes.
so I've tried to go against that because I was born and raised, I've been born and raised here. I know that. When I was a teenager here, I said the same thing. There's nothing to do. I'm moving when I graduate.
Every teenager says it.
And I did move, and I just had kids and decided Russellville is really actually a fabulous place. And I did want to move back home to raise my children. So there are lots of things to do. And in our guide, in our Russellville guide, we list the top 40 things to do around here. But there's lots of things to do. If you just want to go outside and be active, there's tons of things to do. If you want indoor things, then we are a little more limited on that. But the outside activities, and that has saved us through COVID and the pandemic, where people feel safe and want to get out, we've had those options for them.
Talk to me a little bit about where that disconnect comes from. It could be the old phrase, familiarity breeds contempt. You're around it so much that maybe you don't see it. But is there a strategy from the A&P side to market to citizens about what there is to do here?
No, and yes and no. So yes, we do things social media wise. We still target local people on local events, our concerts downtown, and things for people to come and just be a part of. Yes, we still target that audience. But the A&P's main goal is to outside the city limits. So that's why a lot of times you won't see our ads and our literature inside the city limits, because that's not our target audience.
Right.
That's more of the local, like the chamber and Danielle and local things, that's their target audience. But our target audience is actually getting outside people into Russellville. And so that's where we like to spend most of our campaign money is there.
So what does that marketing look like?
Oh, we have we have some print materials. We are in all the state guides, like the Arkansas Bike, Arkansas Paddle. Arkansas Love is a state publication put out by the state. If you go to arkansas.com and you want any information from the state, that's what they send you in their packet. So we're in all those print materials, pieces. Right now, the majority of our marketing money is spent on social media, getting our ads out where we can target them to specialized people, things, and activities.
You mentioned earlier that some of the marketing internally for the internal citizens are things like concerts downtown. Danielle Hasnick, who we had on the show last week, does a great job of Main Street Russellville on that regard. But you said in the book in the booklet, and you have one of those here, the top 40 things to do. You said top 40.
Yep. Top 40 things to do. This guide is just our Russellville community guide, and in it we list lots of good information, but there's the top 40 things to do, and we just have some of the fun things that if somebody's looking for something to do, not everything's in here, but we try to highlight some of the stuff. We try to change them up each year and just add some new stuff, so it's kind of fun. You can pick these up all over town.
Oh, let's go through a few of those.
Okay.
What are some? What are on the list here?
Well, the bowling alley is one of them. The escape room is one of them. The movies, the aquatic center, the garage arcade, Lake Dardanelle State Park, and then it has some events like our normal events, the Christmas parade, summer concert series, Las Vegas half marathon, things like that. Art walk is listed in here where you can find the information out when they are and what's going on.
First one's less than a month away, by the way, folks.
Yes. The farmers market. So we got to talk about the farmers market. All the state parks are listed in here. Bonadia Trails, hang gliding, all kinds of things like that. The Balloon Fest, disc golf, trails, country club, just things like that where you can find more information about them, even if it's not the exact event, but where you could find that information about the event.
When you are talking to someone who is not from Russellville and they say, "Hey, listen, we're on our way through. We're going to make a stop here." What are you telling folks? Hey, you've got to see blank.
I send them to the state parks because I feel like our state park system is just superb compared to a lot of other states. To have that many parks within a 30-mile, 40-mile radius, I at least make them see Lake Dardanelle, go up on Nebo if they have time, and Petit Jean. If they have the time to go to Magazine, it's also something to see. Yeah. And depending on their wants and needs, like if they like trails, for sure sending them to Nebo, to see all the new trails. If they like Pots In, I send lots of people, if they like that kind of thing. If they like fishing, they can go get a fishing pole from Lake Dardanelle State Park. There's just different things, so it just depends on their wants and needs. But then there's always some favorite food places I love to send people, which are also listed in our guide. Right. There's no chains, but there's your top local favorites, and I'm sure you can guess a few, but Stobie's being one.
I
guess another one.
Cove Jai.
Actually, Cove Jai is not in here.
What?
And, with them being open and closed some, so no, but Taco Villa.
Taco Villa, Old South is definitely in there. Whataburger is probably in there. Brangus is probably in there.
Being added. Brangus is the new one being added.
Okay, so here's the reason why I know some of this.
Okay.
Do you know how this show started?
No.
This show started because of a food blog that I did in March of last year.
Food is important.
Yeah, I put out a list of the top 10 places that I thought you had to go in Russellville.
Okay.
And I did a live video talking about it. And this show, all of this spawned from that video.
I'm gonna have to look into Cove Jai.
Cove Jai should be on the list. Is CJ's on the list?
Yes.
CJ's?
Fat Daddy's. Old Bank.
God. Fat Daddy's, Old Bank should be there. Pasta Grill, all great locals. Oh, Johnny's, the potatoes. You can't.
The Johnny's, Ozark Mountain Smokehouse. How can you not go there?
Yeah, I mean, these are all fabulous places, and again,
because isn't that what you want when you go to a town? You want to know where the local flavor is. You don't really want to go to, not knocking Chili's, but like, I want to go to the local flavor. Even when I go to New York or big cities, I ask people, what's the best place to eat around here? Right. So we put that in here because we want those people, because these are our local owners. These are our people that live here, and, and we want to make sure we support them.
Right. I mean, and the internal numbers would suggest too that Russellville people keep all of our restaurants alive
That's
for the
right.
most part, because most of these chains are franchised anyway.
Right.
So we still have some local owners, but they're
Right.
doing okay.
Yes.
One thing that I will mention as it pertains to the food side of things, it's one of the most controversial topics that
I
you
already
can
know
get
what you're gonna say.
into. That you can get into. So with that being said, when you were putting this list together, was there some discussion as to what should be included and what shouldn't be, or
So,
you don't have to name names? Just
no. So, we are a hotel tax.
Mhm.
So, I don't really have to even include the restaurants in it because we do not collect on the restaurant side of the tax, which a lot of cities do. But what I went off is how many people asked me when they came in. I would get this question: "Where's the best place to eat?" And I don't want a chain.
Right.
I want somewhere local. Where's your local favorite breakfast? Where's your favorite? And that's what drove this, is because this was some of the number one questions we were asked. And so I just went to some of my favorites, some of the most favorite places that I know are recommended, and that have local ownership. And this is where it ended. So
can I make a suggestion as to who
Yes.
needs to be added?
yes,
The Gunslinging Burger.
I've never had it.
Oh my goodness. Jeremy Hames has been a guest on this show.
Have to try it.
Outstanding chef. He's over there on 4th Street, completely local,
Okay.
family-owned business. Try the Jack's Ranch.
Okay,
It's amazing.
I'm definitely going. I'll try.
It's amazing. These are the conversations I like having about Russellville because, I mean, again, I push back on those people who say, well, there's nothing to do here, there's nowhere to go, because there is something almost innate with people from this area that suggests to them, if I'm going to go do something or I've got a weekend, I got to go to Fayetteville, I've got to go to Conway, I've got to go to Little Rock. Where does that come from?
I think it's just maybe the vibe that the big city, that you think there's more to do there, and maybe because there are more franchised name
Sure.
brand things that sell. But if you really look at Russellville and the things that we do have, there are things to do, but they're just not the hype, the name. There's
Right.
maybe not the big golf, that's in Northwest Arkansas.
Top kind of a thing, yeah.
The name carries a lot of those things, but there are things to do here. They're just not as marketed, maybe. So I think maybe that's where some of that comes.
This is an interesting question that we did not touch on the last time you were here. When my wife and I went to Eureka Springs, of course, Eureka Springs is known for just being Eureka Springs.
Right.
But one of the things that attracted us to that was not the shops and the restaurants, although they had a great flavor, but because there was some interesting additional little tidbits. The reason I ask about that, there's some attractions here that are famous in lore, but maybe not necessarily something that we could promote. So here's the question.
Okay.
As someone who heads up A&B, have you ever told somebody to go to Dover Lights?
Interesting you say that, because it's a topic we're discussing. Let me think how to say this. It's a topic we're discussing for a piece that I'm looking at writing on. Because, let me think how to
Did
say
I just touch on a nerve that I wasn't supposed to?
It's a good nerve. No,
Yeah,
it's just
okay.
something we're discussing because it was brought up that it was one of the number one searches within a local publication. It was their number one viewed, number one question thing. And so we're actually going to do a piece on it and kind of take that and run with it as a little bit of a marketing piece. So it's interesting you say that. So yes, we've had people ask about it, and we discuss it. I've discussed that I've went there in high school and, chased it and did all that. So my son has been, he's asked about it. It's still one of those things, and I probably should run with it a little bit more, who it might bring in.
And that's it's been featured.
Have you seen the Dover Lights?
Yeah. Have you seen them?
No.
No?
No, I went up there, but I haven't seen them.
Oh my. Okay. I'll tell you a story off air. I won't tell it on air. But yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, I need you to meet my wife so that she can tell you the story
Okay.
and tell you exactly how brave I was.
Okay.
I was not at all.
I might need your story for what we're fixing to write on. So.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Um, the reason I brought up Dover Lights is because there are those things that are, folklore around here that
Mhm.
maybe don't get talked about as much. And part of the reason is that you've got to focus on the park system. You've got to focus on the softball tournaments, the bass tournaments, the things that really bring in good revenue. But I bring it up because of the hidden gem side of
Yeah.
Russellville. Are there other hidden gems that maybe we haven't hit on as much that maybe we should, you think?
I think there are things that we probably could hit more on. I mean, like just the interesting facts with like if you really get behind like the Potts Inn
Mm.
and the Trail of Tears and some of the unique pieces there, the history of Russellville. When we were doing the sesquicentennial, how you say that?
Sesquicentennial? Yeah,
No, it's the
I don't. Yeah,
the 150 year
yeah,
anniversary
that one.
that Danielle and I worked on, and it kind of got all ruined with COVID. But there's some really good pieces there about the county seat moving and
Mm-hmm.
just some really good. There's a good history there and the fire of 1906, and I really learned a lot about the history of Russellville and was really intrigued by some of that. The Lattimore home, things like that are just gems, to Russellville. So yeah, I do. I think there's some fun pieces if you kind of start looking into some of that we are trying to talk about a little bit more.
That's actually funny that you mentioned two things I was about to ask about. Nolan Edwards was on this show a couple of weeks back.
Mhm.
Brad and Brent interviewed him. And I had no idea that there was a great fire in Russellville. We had Betsy McGuire and Randy Hendricks on from the Lattimore House. I had no idea that Russellville was an integral part of the Green Book.
Mhm.
Is there a push, or maybe I should ask this way, what is being pushed as far as the history of Russellville and how are we pushing it?
Well, when we were doing the anniversary special, a lot was pushed. And I actually had, because of COVID and we couldn't do all that we wanted to do, I had posters made, and I still have them in my office. And it was the picture then and the picture now. And I did 12 of those just from around town of the pictures I could find. And one of them was the fire. And I really got to read and, find out about all of that. We did a big push then. We released some stuff on social media, but now there's not so much, not a big push behind it. And it's sad because it's really interesting.
Just for my own sake, where do you find that info? Because I'm fascinated by it.
So there's a book. I learned that through some of this, there's a spiral book that was done at the 100-year celebration that locals went together and put together. It's just a little bitty thin, inexpensive. I had some copies made. You'd love to look through it. And you're welcome to come look through it. But it talked about all the history. It went all the way back, and that's where I learned a lot of the older homes and why they were built and when they were built by who and about the fire and what burned and what was salvaged. And a whole lot of pictures are in there and of the railroad system and just the history of Russellville and who was the mayor then and how
Right.
it came about and how things were named, the city was named, and how it came down to two different people and they voted, and that's how it became Russellville after Dr. Russell instead
Right.
of the other version, So, I mean, just things like that. But that book helped us when we were putting together the 150 year. And Danielle and I put together, the Calendar Girls put together a timepiece, a time capsule with a whole bunch of information that'll hopefully be opened up in 50 years.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Calendar Girls, we're going to get them on.
You need the Calendar
We're going to
Girls.
make something.
You gotta
like,
learn about the
we're
Calendar
gonna we're going to
Girls.
make something happen with that. I can't wait for that too. You've got goodies here.
Sure.
You'd already mentioned the booklet. We went through that. What else are we looking at here?
Oh, I always love just to share about some of the things we're doing. We do have this trail piece. These are called Z cards, and the people can you see the Z
Yeah.
cards?
Mhm.
And they actually open up, and so it's your trail system. So
Oh,
you
wow.
can put them in your pocket and ride. We've got new Z cards coming out for the trails. Nebo trails have been added onto those. So we're going to have these in the office in a couple weeks. And then the Calendar Girls always work on a calendar.
Mhm.
And with COVID, things have changed, and we actually aren't putting together the whole calendar, but we're putting out these cards each month, and it's all the dates for that month. And then you can QR code it or go to our website and find all the dates and everything that's happening for the month. And so these are listed all around town or placed all around town in the hotels, state parks, chamber, Danielle, my office, City Hall, everywhere. So people can just pick these up. So then they can't say there's nothing to do going on at Russellville.
I love the QR code idea too. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're really trying to incorporate that. Through the pandemic, we learned that some people still don't want to touch pieces.
Right.
And so we're trying to incorporate that in everything we do. And we're actually getting them where people can have them on their windows or their doors when you walk in, and you could just QR code and you'd have the calendar.
That's outstanding.
So
before we continue, we need to talk about what the calendar girls are, because it's a funny name, but it's not
yes.
what you may think. So what are the calendar girls?
So I went to a community, it's been 10 plus years ago, and the mayor and a couple different people got together monthly and talked about what was going on in their community, and they were very informed. Work together, partnership, unity was happening. And I just brought it back because that wasn't happening here. To no one's fault, it just wasn't happening.
Sure.
And so myself and Felicia Turnbow at the time, if you remember Felicia with the chamber, and Betsy at the time, and we just started meeting, and we just said, we've got to start working together on projects and be unified. And what would happen is we'd have 2 or 3 different events on one weekend, and then the other 3 weekends of the month there was nothing. And I said, we've got to start monopolizing on all the weekends and trying to fill them to fill our hotels. And that was just the purpose of the group, and it has grown and grown and grown, and we're at 10 members now. And it's just happened to be all females. And so then somebody mentioned that maybe we should put it in a calendar form when we brought all of our dates together. And so it happened about 5 years ago, and we just started a calendar, and it was fabulous, and it was all about Russellville and great photography, and everybody took a month, but it was about like 1 month would be Lake Dardanelle State Park, 1 month would be Russellville Tourism, 1 month would be downtown, 1 month, just everybody took a month. So we're the calendar girls, and we just work for the city of Russellville, and all of our jobs are event planning based, and we're all here for the city, and so it's kind of funny, but it's worked.
Yeah, I felt like some context was needed for the name, because we know what the calendar girls were doing, but I don't know that we had
But it kind of made everybody want a calendar.
Well, there's that marketing strategy that was
marketing strategy.
That's
the
good.
Younger generation doesn't get it, calendar girls from the movie, but hey,
they have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I like to think I bridged that gap well. And then we've got a T-shirt.
Yes, I brought you a T-shirt because I know you love Russellville.
I do so much.
And I have so many of these in the office right now. We're fully restocked in all sorts of colors and sizes, and so I just wanted to let everybody know the short sleeve I Heart Russellville shirts are back in stock, and we have them for sale. They're $20 each, so just stop by the office.
Oh, that delights my heart. Thank you so much.
So I brought you one.
I'm emceeing again this year at the downtown events. You can bet that I'll be sporting that.
Okay, well, I have socks too, so if you need a pair of the I Heart Russellville socks, I'll have you fully.
I saw those.
Did the mayor have them on?
Not this last time, but the time before when Mayor Harris was on, I thought, oh my God, I got to have those.
Yeah.
I've got to have those. So yes. Sign me up for some socks.
I'm the I Heart Russellville lady.
Yes.
And I'm just rolling with it. It just is what it is, and I love it, and it's just positive, and we have a great community, and so why not show it off?
Absolutely. I will rock that T-shirt. Thank you so much for that.
I'm glad.
Before we let you go, because we are running out of time here, I Heart Russellville was kind of your brainchild.
It was.
And the last time we talked, we were talking about, the water tower and the mural, and now I'm seeing it everywhere. And it's a take a little bit on the I Heart New York thing, but it seems to be even from our standpoint, like, I think as a microcosm, it might be bigger.
It is, because it just worked, because you have to remember when that came out, it was December before the pandemic hit, when we shut down that next April, I think was like 19.
Yeah.
So that December 18 of 2018 is when I was coming out with all that, not knowing the pandemic was going to hit. And everybody was tired of the negative. Whatever negative was there, we won't even go there, but all the negative that was out there. Because if you're from Russellville and you know Russellville is a great community with great people in it. and we have lots of positive things going on amongst all that negative. And I just told the mayor, I said, we've got to do something positive, because we are a good community and we have lots of good people doing good things. Let's talk about the good. I'm tired of hearing about the bad. Let's talk about the good. And it spread like wildfire. Which shows that I was right.
Right.
That people were tired of it. And so I would just have people call me. I still, to this day, I sent this logo this morning to somebody, because they are still printing the logos. They want them on their banners. They want them outside their building. They want to participate. They just want to be a part of something positive and good. And that just shows our community.
You know, it's funny, because when we started this show almost a year ago now, which is really strange to me, you, I think, are episode 137.
Oh, wow.
Of original episodes. One of the first things I said was, we're not doing negative mess. We are going to talk about all the happiness and the good parts of the community. And this is what I heard.
So 137 episodes later, you're still talking about the good.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. I mean, and we're booked out for the next 2 or 3 months.
Great job.
I mean, we're still moving. What's amazing to me is that it caught immediately, just like you were talking about. And this was my favorite thing. My favorite thing was, well, you know, that's never going to work. It's never going to work, because, you know, there was the news program that ABC produced back in the late 80s called The Good News, and it was nothing but good stories, and it lasted for 6 weeks because it was canceled. Not around here.
Nope.
We have got nearly 100 hours of content all about how good our area is.
Again, I think it goes back to, you started in a time where people were tired of the negative, and people were tired of the fear factor and being, you know, scared within a pandemic and all that. So I think they were ready to hear the good, and I love it. I love everything about it. And it doesn't mean that there's not negative, and it doesn't mean that there's not bad things happening. It just means we know that there's good things, and at certain times we're really going to concentrate on the good things and promote the good things. And that is my job. I mean, Russellville's a great community, and that's my job, is to promote it. And so what better way than I Heart Russellville? One of my 2 favorite I Heart Russellvilles right now are the Water Tower, and have you seen the bike trail? And they had it put in the rock at the new bike trail on Inglewood.
See that. Mm-hmm.
Those are probably my 2 favorite. Neither one were initiated by me. The bike trail, I didn't even know till it was done that they were doing it. And then I found out about the water tower in conversations about what logo was going to be put. And I went to them and asked them if they would do the I Heart Russellville. So it was really cool. Super cool.
Is it, when you step back from all of it and just kind of look, is it hard to not get emotional thinking about it?
I know I got emotional. I was actually out of the country when the mural got finished. The I Heart Russellville mural that Daniel painted over there on the other side of where Sports Scene was. Yeah. And when they sent me the pictures, I was like, oh, I love it. Like, yes, it is. It's just, I love Russellville so much. Just being born in, being around this. Yeah. And I love the positive. I love, just the positiveness of it. And it kind of takes me away sometimes. I look back and I'm like, I had a part in that. And we all have our parts to play. Everybody has a part to play. Yep. You just got to find your part, and this was just my part. And I'm thankful that it worked that way.
And this is my part, and I am thankful that you have come on the show. You know what? I'm thankful that we live in this community, and I think you should live in this community too. So if you don't already, and you're interested in buying a house, you need to log on to www.russellvilleliving.com, search what it is that we have, and one of our agents will get you hooked up to live in this fine community today.
That's right.
Christie Graham.
Thank you.
We got to do this again.
I will. I'll be here anytime. Thank you.
Thanks so much, and thank you for joining us today on The Spotlight. Remember, if you're in the market to buy or sell your home, you can give us a call, 479-968-5668. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.